ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ Offering my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai, who with his infinite grace keeps this satsang where we get to spend time reminiscing, connecting through the experiences of his chosen ones, whom I call the Ratnas. For no one comes in contact with the Lord without his sankalpa. And there is no bigger blessing in life than to have the formative years at his lotus feet, studying in his institutions, and thanks to some amazing brothers who help us every week to bring these ratnas talking to us. So I have one such person here with me who does not hesitate when the SOS comes to say, connect me to a ratna. And that's going to be Brother Pawan, and I'm going to request him to introduce the speaker for today, who is from the same time as he in the hallowed portals of Prashanti and Brindavan. Brother Pawan.
Sairam, offering my most humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. I once again thank Swami for giving us this wonderful opportunity and time to come together and again go back to those golden days and golden memories with yet another gem which Swami has chosen as part of today's guest speaker, Mr. Ritesh Patnaik. Mr. Ritesh Patnaik has joined the school while I also joined at the same time in the year 1992-94. I was in commerce stream. He was in science, and then he followed, to the Brindavan campus where we were doing BCom honors, and then he was doing his B.Sc. And after his B.Sc, Mr. Ritesh Patnaik has gone to the Prasanthinilayam to do his PG masters, and also he has done his M.Sc as well as M.B.A. So double PG. Now coming to his characteristics of Mr. Ritesh Patnaik, multifaceted, dimensional, I should say, his role and contribution towards hostel, towards Swami students, towards a service, towards university, towards, I should say, he is the kind of a role model where we have seen. I was just telling in just couple of minutes back, minimum investment, maximum returns. Okay, what do I mean by that? We hardly see him studying during study hours or sitting and mugging like other students were doing during examination times. What used to happen is he used to take tuitions to the other batch, students, means B.Sc students. Mr. Gopinath can later on he can chip in what I'm trying to say. He can also say that how he has molded, how he has shaped the entire science students, especially with his skill set in physics, chemistry, and mathematics kind of a skill set where he had. And apart from that, Swami has chosen him to become a chai boy. Mr. Chai had been in Vrindavan due to his illness. I think many of must be knowing Mr. Chai. So more about Mr. Chai, I will leave it to Ritesh Patnaik to come out and say his experiences, Mr. Chai. Until his, tenure in Brindavan campus, Mr. Ritesh Patnaik was part of the Chai boy also. Other than doing a service to Mr. Chai, Mr. Ritesh Patnaik has become an exemplary student and he has got a gold medal in his education. Now you can understand the what I'm trying to say, multi-dimensional characteristics he had. He was helping the other fellow students to come up in education where they were lacking, teaching them, also helping Mr. Chai as a chai boy taking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, also helping the university in few of the other activities where teachers used to request him to, guide. So where does he find time to read? Is what my, the curiosity was there. Then later on, I understood that Swami has given a gift, like you take care of the services, everything. I will take care of you. That's what I felt looking at back Ritesh Patnaik's career. And now what I see is he's also associated with one of the Swami school where it is established in Chennai. He will speak about it later in our speech, where school has been established by one of our professors in Chennai, and is actively participant, and his both his sons are also part of that institution. So his life had been completely surrendered to Swami, and I'm very very blessed, and also I should say I'm very happy that I'm part of his journey right from school days until today. And with this introductory words, I request Mr. Ritesh Patnaik to please share in a two or three different parts, like what was your journey, how was your journey, what was the reason behind coming to Swami, and after that, what are the events and touching upon your school days and Brindavan days and overall experiences with Swami. Over to you, Mr. Ritesh Patnaik. Thank you.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Pavan Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Sai Ram, thank you so much for those generous words. It's very overwhelming. So let me just start with a small background to how I ended up here. So there's a sudden call from Pawan yesterday saying we have this satsang. Will you be part of it? I asked him, okay, how long that's going to be? 15-20 minutes, quick call. You can discuss few things. You've been with Swami. It's going to be easy. Don't worry. He said, okay, 15-20 minutes. There'll be other classmates as well. I said, okay, fine, let's do this. So this was around evening, and I was getting ready to go for bhajans here. I said, fine. And then just before I head out for bhajans, Brother Venkat calls and says, okay, I'm confirming that you will be part of satsang. Be ready at 5 p.m. It's about 1 hour, hour and a half. I said, I thought it was 15 minutes, 20 minutes. No, that is just Pawan's way of getting folks into the satsang. So I said, okay, fine, let's go with it. But Brother Venkat, thank you so much for your encouraging words. You said you just leave it to Swami. It'll be easy. You just won't know how time moves on. So Swami, please help me. And then I went for bhajans. So here's the interesting thing. I went for bhajans. So after bhajans, a senior devotee was asked to say a few words. And then that person starts with a small story. He said, the story he said was, long time back, there in Prasanthinilayam, devotees were waiting for Swami's darshan. Music starts and Swami is walking and coming along. And the devotee that's in the front line, he's noticed there's a twig that's on the path, like small twig from a tree or something, and he was not sure if he can just pounce and clean it off or what, because sevadals were there. So there were so many thoughts going on in the devotee's mind, and Swami is approaching, coming closer, and finally Swami, just a moment before Swami reaches the spot, small bird comes, picks up the twig and flies away. And so that the person yesterday, he was saying, so that is Swami's plan. You should never wait for somebody to take action. If there is Sai work, just jump into it. If Swami is calling, just do it. How, what, doesn't matter. Swami has 100 ways of getting things done. So take this as an opportunity for attending bhajan, satsang. And that person was mentioning, especially last 2-3 COVID years, we have had some of our acquaintances who who had to leave us. So he was saying, we don't know how long we're going to be here. So take every opportunity, snatch every opportunity, participate in every event. Then I said, okay, that's the message for me. So I'm going to take this opportunity to share, some background on how I ended up coming to Swami and how Swami has been guiding me throughout. So it's like a kite that flies away and Swami is holding the thread. That's how my life has been. I've had very limited or practically no exposure to Swami prior to joining Swami's school. The only exposure I've had prior to that was, there used to be some Thursday bhajans in the colony where I used to stay. And the only thing I remember was we go there because they chant Narayana, Narayana some 10 or 18 times, and then they give us bananas at the end. So that was the only reason we used to go there. We used to wait when those 18 Narayanas will come. I didn't know that was the Aarti procedure and all of that. All that I knew was when the Narayanas come, it's over and we wait for the banana. So that was my background. So we used to go for that Thursday event to get those bananas. So after I finished my 10th class, my tuition sir applied to Parthi school. I did not have any exposure to Parthi school. He applied and I received the invite to take the exam. At the time, there are only 2 or 3 options for me after finishing 10th class. One was, write the Andhra Pradesh state exam, or there was a local college there where I could continue, or I don't know. I had no clue what it's going to be. Never thought too much. I guess, the options were very limited and there was not too much thought going into, how life would take you where and all of that. So the invite came. We had to come to Parthi to write the entrance. So me and my father started our journey from my place to Puttaparthi. There was one senior student from our school who studied in Anantapur, girl student. She was in Anantapur. That I was aware because she was 2 years my senior in the same school. So when we took the ticket, so we had to travel by train to Vijayawada, and from there we asked around how to go to Puttaparthi, and there was a bus. So we got into the bus, and there my father was buying a ticket for Puttaparthi. I said, I don't think we should go to Puttaparthi. See, that girl is there. She's in Anantapur. I think we have to go there. That's where the college is. We thought, okay, maybe I know something. So we took a ticket to Anantapur. And we were fine, me, my father, and there were other passengers. It was a long bus journey. Reached Anantapur early morning 3:30. And we were getting down from the bus. Then there was one passenger who said, why are you getting down here? I said, this is Anantapur. And I showed that entrance card, the exam card. I said, no, this is Puttaparthi. This is different from Anantapur. You cannot get down here. And then we took another ticket in the same bus and continued our journey. So, Swami was just making sure we arrived on time for the exam. And when we arrived at Prasanthinilayam, it was like the first time I was looking at Parthi. It was mind-blowing. I know, like so quiet. I think first impression for Parthi is memorable for most of us, especially for me. So quiet, nothing, and it's clean, and you could hear birds, and everybody's quiet and smiling, and you could see there's some things different here. And then we were guided to that accommodation block, and we had to stand in line, and right in front of us, that girl whom I was talking about, she was right there. She said, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. I said, why is everyone saying Sai Ram? That was very new for me. Everybody was saying Sai Ram. I said, no, you come here. We already have taken a room. She was also coming for her another exam she was going to give in Anantapur. So she was in Sai's system already. So she was guiding us, this is the entrance, planetarium. She was telling about Swami, the philosophy. They'll ask you questions in interview and you should be prepared to talk about Swami and all of that. I said, okay. So she gave me a lot of background so that I could clear the interview. And then I wrote the entrance, was called for interview, joined my 11th class and all of that. And then I was into the stream, Sai stream, just flowing along the river as it goes, bounding here and there by the banks, bouncing over boulders, but going along the stream. Unseen thread of Swami holding always, that was there. After passing Swami's institutions, now you reflect back, you have some more maturity on how life takes you around, and then you think of those early days, now you can see how that unseen hand was always there. At that time, young 16 years old, hardly knew anything. You are just going with whatever was being done. But now when you sit back, you have a family of your own, you are also making decisions for your children, and you see how Swami's has always been in your life. I was just somebody, I had no clue what Swami was or anything. And then here I am, I spent almost like nearly 10 years in Swami's institutions after that. So that was my beginning. That's how I ended up coming here. If I had missed that bus there, I don't know, it would have been a different journey. But that's how Swami pulls. So that's my entry into Sai fold or Swami's institutions. Then another big moment, I would say, is in the winter vacation, I went back. And then when I came back after winter holidays in my 11th standard, some students stayed back for their winter vacation, and they were saying, you went home, but we stayed back. You know what Swami did in these 10 days, 12 days? That's the spring cleaning time Swami does usually after Dasra holidays. A lot of items that devotees have given, he just gives away to students and other people. So that was the time, Swami gave away robes and other personal items that a lot of devotees had presented to Swami. And every student who stayed during that winter period had like something that Swami had given to them personally. That was like, okay, I'm not going to go home in any winter holidays from now on. I have to get something from Swami. So that just sat in my mind. And then the next winter vacation was a very interesting one. So just prior to that, so in 12th standard winter vacation was very unique, very inspiring, and very memorable till today for me and for a whole bunch of students, I'm sure, because that was the year when Dasra Yajna happened. And during the Yajna, all the students are there. And after the Yajna, the college students' exams started. And school exams were over by the time. So all the school students had gone back to their homes, except few who chose to stay back in the hostel, me being one of them. And the college students were having exams. So we were allowed to go to Mandir in the morning because we didn't have exams, we were having holidays, but the college students could not come. That was for a period of 10 days or 12 days or so. This was right after the Dasra Yajna got completed. And so here was the routine during those 10-12 days. So morning, we would get up and rush to Mandir, 7:30 darshan, 7 o'clock, sometimes Swami comes out. So we rush to Mandir till 9:30, 10 we are there, and Swami is there, and it's only about 30 or 40 students that are there. Swami is there, bhajans go on, just the regular Parthi routine goes on. And 10 o'clock, we rush back to hostel, have a quick early lunch. Reason being, we had to go back to Purnachandra Hall right after that, because Swami had called us students to help in Vibhuti packing. So this was one opportunity that I've had. I'll just narrate few things about that phase there. So after Dasra Yajna, some of you might have witnessed, or you would have seen videos on YouTube. It's a very elaborate, inspiring, traditional Orthodox thing with Ritviks and Purohits from traditional background doing Rudram chanting. A lot of students with Vedam background or who are learning Vedam, get nice opportunities to sit on the stage to chant along with the Purohits. And Swami also gives a lot of attention to Veda Pandits during that period. So during those 7 days, into the fire, variety of things are put into the fire. They put ghee and then this variety of sticks. And on the last Purnahati day, it's an exciting period. Swami would come around in the crowd and sprinkle that water. And then during Purnahati, he would materialize variety of things and put into the ahuti, into the fire. We could see sacred ash, akshatas, or people said sometimes Swami materializes stones, precious stones, and puts it in that. We heard all of that. So after Yajna, the duty was to take out all the ash from that yajna kund, sort of filter it through a fine cloth so that the rubble stays out and the fine dust comes, and that would be packed as vibhuti. So we were called to assist in that job. So we had to sit on the stage, right there in the Purnachandra stage. That's where the yajna was. And Sri Padmanabha Shastri Garu, he was the Purohit at that time. So he used to there, and he will guide us, and he would actually do the filtering. We would do the packing. And so this would go on from like 11:30 in the morning. We all would assemble there on the stage. Padmanabha Shastri Garu would come. He would take out, dig through the mound of the ash, put a cloth, and he would filter it out. And as he filters it out, the fine dust comes out of the cloth, and the rubble and stones and partially burned wood and pieces, things like that, he would just pile it up separately as a separate pile. And Swami would come and sit there and just observe, and he would teach us how to pack vibhuti. The Om Sai Ram Likhita Japam, that is written by thousands and thousands of Bal Vikas students and other devotees, ends up in Puttaparthi, and then they make slips out of it. And Swami, vibhuti is packed in that. So Swami used to take one of those square shaped papers, fold it, and he used to teach us how to do it. And he would show and demonstrate, and we should do it exactly like that. But the unique thing was the pile of rubble that was kept aside, the hard pieces, was just growing every day. And in that pile, there were precious stones. There were like these shiny diamonds and rubies and things like that. And Padmanabha Shastri Garu would take out each of those precious things and make a separate pile. That would be a separate pile, which also was growing slowly. So this was a period of like 10-12 days or so. We were doing this every day from 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock. And then Swami would say, I have to go for darshan. You go to hostel, fresh up and come. And then Swami would go back inside. So before going, he will say, you must be tired, and he will give us some tiffin, some vada or something, like small snack. We all would sit there, and Swami would just ask people to serve. And it was like a small, very cozy family time sort of thing. Again, we would run back to hostel, get ready, come back to mandir. Bhajan, Swami's darshan till evening 6:30. So when I look back, the whole day was literally in Swami's presence, and mind was totally focused on Swami. What next? It was like an intense yajna period, intense sadhana period. Unknowingly, it was just an opportunity. I think now when I look back, I don't think I've ever had such intense presence or being in Swami's thought all the time, other than that period. It was by accident, by plan, but it was such a wonderful period. Those memories still remain with me. And on the last day of that, of the vibhuti packing, we were almost done, and that pile of all those diamonds and stones was sizable. So I was thinking in mind, no, generally Swami will give it to someone. I was just thinking, who would that be? Or maybe Swami will distribute a few stones to everyone. Diamonds, rubies, who doesn't want from Swami? And then Swami, Padmanabha Shastri Garu, he gave that whole thing. He put it in a white kerchief and gave it to Swami. Swami saw, folded it, and said, "Nunchuko." He gave it to the Pandit to keep. Said, "Oh, there goes $1 million there." So that was interesting to witness the ahuti, hear all those stories, and then actually see all those stones being segregated and kept. So that was my 12th class winter vacation. And then Swami also did the spring cleaning that I was waiting for. Was very fortunate to receive a robe from Swami, and then the few other gifts Swami personally distributed to a lot of students who were there. It was a nice thing, very memorable thing, I would say. And then so that was my 12th standard. And so I'll just keep narrating few of these memories that are very precious to me. Then when I continued with my B.Sc chemistry, I joined for bachelor's in Brindavan Campus. Oh, prior to that, so we had the drama in November 1993. That was my 12th standard in November. So after winter vacation, the convocation and birthday celebrations kick off. And the drama that year was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was an iconic drama at that time. I was fortunate to have a small role in that. So we used to go for rehearsals and all of that. It was a nice thing. Swami would come spend so much time. I mean, the whole idea of Chaitanya itself was so endearing to Swami. And Swami spent so much time in that drama. I mean, I was just 12th standard or 16, 17 years old with very minimal background about philosophy, spirituality, or devotion or anything. But through these things, how Swami brings or creates the Bhakti Bhava. So this Chaitanya drama was fantastic. It's very memorable for me. I had a very small role in that, like some disciple of some guru, and I have to just go around as part of the disciple group there. But it gave me the opportunity to participate in all the rehearsals, be there when Swami used to come and watch or correct, the main actors, and you used to give specific directions. So there was one final rehearsal that we wanted to do in Shanti Vedika, in the ground itself, because the drama would be done in Shanti Vedika. So one rehearsal had to be done there. And for that rehearsal, Swami came. This was just during the almost very close to the convocation time. So we all were assembled. It was evening times, around after bhajans or just before bhajans, Swami had come. And we were going through the different scenes of the drama. The drama would open with Narayana Bhajo Narayan, Narayana Bhajo Narayan. Very, very beautiful song. And it was recorded and sung, and Swami would just sit and watch the whole thing. It was dark, but lights were on the stage, mic settings. It was a live drama. It was not a pre-recorded drama. So people had to actually say out their dialogues aloud. There were microphones and you have to say out your dialogues aloud. So Swami was sitting and watching, and suddenly power is gone. There's no power. It's dark, and it's dark. It's like evening 6:37 November. It gets dark pretty early, and nobody had any clue how to, what to do about it. Our teacher said, you just continue with your scenes, because Swami may not stay. We'll just go through with our scenes. Anyway, we have to shout out the dialogue. So we have to scream it out, because microphones were not working. There was no power, and there was no lights also. It was kind of little dusk period. There's very low light there. Then I think Swami instructed some of the vehicles to come and put the headlights on the stage. So there was Swami's car and some jeep, and 2-3 vehicles follow behind Swami, the security jeep and all of that. So they came around, and then they were like a stage lights. They would switch on their vehicle lights. So that was our light, and we went through the different scenes. Swami was happy. That the drama is very memorable for me. One is I had an opportunity to be part of an event where Swami spent so much time. But personally also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I started reading a lot about these devotees of God. Swami does so many things, and then it has multiple effects. We think we just do it because we like it. No, if the seed is sown somewhere, you will know it much later that this was happening. This is what I keep saying. It is a silent hand or unseen hand. That's it. So he was creating these small things. Little did I know that that is the unseen hand. But there are very beautiful scenes in the drama which are very endearing. There was one scene where Chaitanya is intoxicated with God's love, with Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Bhava, and then he's searching for Krishna everywhere. And in that scene, just to contrast intoxication with God's love and the worldly intoxication, in the scene there was a wall, and on the wall a drunkard was sitting there on the wall. And so Chaitanya comes with tears in his eyes and says, "Oh sir, have you seen my Krishna? Have you seen my dear Krishna?" Then the drunkard, in his slurry voice, he says, who is Krishna? How does he look? I don't know any Krishna. Then Chaitanya says, sir, you don't know Krishna? And then he starts describing Krishna. The Kasturi Tilakam, that shloka comes in the background. It was a very memorable scene, how somebody intoxicated with Bhakti Bhava is meeting a person intoxicated with the world, and then the description of Krishna's face, how he holds the flute, the Kaustuba, and all of that goes in the background. It was very nice scene. To this day I remember. So the funny thing was, the next day, November 23rd, Swami's birthday, I had the opportunity to carry the birthday card from the hostel or from our class, I don't remember, and show it to Swami. So the students who made the card made 6 and 8, number 6 and number 8, that was 68th birthday. So they made it with thermocol, 3D cuttings of 6 and 8, and there was a message on the card, and on top of 6 and 8 there was a small Swami's figurine that was sitting on 6 and 8, like Swami's photo, as the Swami is sitting on that number. And so I showed it to Swami that morning. There were a few other students as well. Swami looked at it and saw, and he said, he's like the drunkard sitting on that wall, in the same posture that Swami's photo was sitting. So it was very nice. So some of these things I remember because of these small things. So that was November 1993, and then we went through sports meet. It was very interesting events. Then finally I joined Brindavan Campus for my B.Sc. So I'll take this opportunity to share few events from my Brindavan days. But let me start with one thing. So after second year in B.Sc in undergraduation, we have to choose your honors. You have to choose either your maths or physics or chemistry as your honor subject. So for a long time I was not sure what to take, and I used to write letters to Swami. Swami, you have to guide me as to which subject I should take. And I used to look for Swami's response or Swami's hint, or some sign that Swami would give that I should take one of the subjects. No, it never happened. And then there was a deadline by which you have to submit your choice. That deadline was fast approaching, and I was still not sure what to do. And then there was this opportunity to ask Swami directly at one point of time. So I took courage and said, Swami, please tell me which honors subject I should take, which major subject I should take for my third year. Swami said, no, you select, you choose, whatever you take, it's fine. I said, no, Swami, you have to tell me. I will take whatever you tell me. I will choose that subject. I was a little persistent, and then Swami said, okay, which subject you like? I said, Swami, I like all the subjects. I like all the subjects. You tell me, Swami. Then Swami said, okay, in which subject do you get good marks? I said, Swami, I get O grade in all the subjects. Then said, okay. Swami asked, okay, tell me who teaches mathematics. I said, Swami, Subramaniam sir, he teaches mathematics. Okay, Subramaniam. Okay, he didn't comment anything. Then he asked, who teaches physics? Swami, Jain sir. Jain, he was making some expressions. These teachers are like Swami's children. They grew up literally in Swami. They're very friendly with Swami. They have a totally different relationship with Swami. And Swami has certain rapport with them, or certain level of bonding. So Swami has. So Swami made some faces about Jain sir. Then Swami asked, who teaches chemistry? I said, Swami, Narhari sir. Narhari, okay, he's good. You take chemistry. So I said, okay. So that was the choice that Swami had given. I took chemistry. Then many years after that, I was just going through that decision-making process. How Swami made me choose chemistry. And I've told this to a few students here as well. He didn't say, okay, you take chemistry. He just didn't say that. It's not that he doesn't know these teachers, he doesn't know the subjects, or he doesn't know me. He knows everything. No, he was just trying to teach certain life lessons. This realization happened to me much later. So if I go through that decision making process, Swami first he said, what do you like? So you choose, you make decisions or you make your choices based on what you like. If you like what you do, then it will not be a burden anymore. So choose, make your decisions so that you like your decisions. So that's my learning. And if you're unable to do that, if you're not sure what I like, then Swami says, in which subject you get highest marks. That is to say, in which field are you most capable, or in which field do you excel? Nowadays students have variety of options in career or otherwise, and many times people are confused. So this was one thing I was telling to passing out 12th standard students a few years back, this whole episode. So when you have too many things and you're not sure what to do, what do you like? Take that path. You're doing always what you like. And if you're not sure, what do you excel at? Take that path. And if you're still not sure, or it's still very ambiguous, then the reasoning Swami gave, this is my interpretation, okay, that was Swami said, so who are the teachers, or who are the people in your decision, who are they, and what value do they bring, and you make your decision based on that. So this is my learning from that episode, which dawned upon me much later. So that's my chemistry honors. That's my choice that I've made, Swami has made. And I continued my B.Sc and M.Sc after that. So during Brindavan periods, as Pawan mentioned, I've had the opportunity to be part of Chai group of students. Some of you may be aware. So there was this long-standing devotee of Swami who, due to certain reasons, Swami took him under his fold, and he would stay with Swami all the time. So there was a separate room given to this person, Dr. Ko Singh Chai, and then he would stay there right across Swami's residence. His room would be. And if Swami goes to Parthi, and students also go to Parthi during birthday or sports meet period, Dr. Chai also would go to Parthi, and there would be a separate room given to him in Puduparthi. So that was the tradition. I was part of that group of students who were interested to be sort of caretakers. So our primary duty was to take care of him. This person, he had an ailment, mental ailment. So we have to take care of all his needs, from food, clothing. He would do his bathroom items, but then, it would be messy and you have to take care of certain things. And there was a point where he had to be kept under lock and key, and he would shout out and all of that. So there's some background. I mean, if you talk to some of the prior batches or older students, the criteria for choosing students to that service activity was, you have to be strong physically, because back then this person was very young and very physical. So you have to be really strong to contain and control him. But over the period, as he aged, and Swami, that's all Swami's Maya, as he aged and as he grew up, it became much more mellowed. And then, the condition of being a physically strong person was relaxed. You have to be able to spend a lot of time with him. That became the criteria. So I was part of that group. One of the good things about that is his house, or the room where he used to stay, was right across Brindavan, where Swami stayed, across Trai. So you have to cross Swami's residence and then go to his room and provide breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then go in the evenings, check on him, change clothes, bring change of clothes, towels, laundry, the whole thing of a living. I mean, so you have to take care of everything practically. And then, so we had the opportunity of crossing through Swami's residence almost every day for all the 3 sessions, 3 meals in a day. We have to go and spend. And there was this interesting time. So when this Dr. Chai, we used to call him Dr. Chai, So when he's in a good mood or slightly mellowed mood, so we had the liberty to bring him for Swami's darshan at a safe distance. So there was this one morning, Swami was in Brindavan. So me and my senior brother, we brought him for Swami's darshan. He was in good mood. We dressed him up in nice fresh clothes, clean shaven, and we gave him a rose. That's the tradition. So he offers a rose to Swami. So right in front of the main doors of Trai Vrindavan, we would stand, and as soon as Swami opens the door, he was standing right in front. So that morning we were all there. Swami had not come out, so we were just waiting for Swami to come, because there is only a small window in which we can do that. And beyond a point, he would get restless, and we cannot do that anymore. So the timing was important. So we were standing there. Swami came, and Swami walked with such a beautiful smile. Hello, Chai. It's I don't know. Their relationship is again different. There's a whole story on how he ended up with Swami and all of that. Hello, Chai, and such a blooming, beautiful smile on Swami's face. And Chai is there, and he's smiling, and he walks up to Swami and gives the rose. Swami says, "How are you, sir?" And Dr. Chai says, "I'm fine. How are you?" All right. So it was very weird for me. I mean, nobody I knew ever asked Swami, "How are you, Swami?" No, in a friendly manner. And then Swami smiled, blessed him, and we took him away. So I know it was a Purvajanma Praptam, and what you want to call. He spent his entire life in Swami's presence. There is no greater tapasvi than him. No other distraction other than being in Swami's presence. We don't know what happened in the prior janma or what, but that's such a blessed life. And I'm sure some students much later, when Dr. Chai passed away, his passing away also was a very, very memorable event. How he passed away, I will leave that to some other students to explain who were there much later. That happened much later, after I moved out of Brindavan campus. So that was one nice event. It was very memorable to see just Swami blossom up as soon as he saw Chai. And then Chai knows Swami like anyone. He says, how are you? Like that, And there was this another time in Vrindavan evening, we were cleaning up Chai's room in the evening around 6:30 sometime. And Swami was there in Vrindavan. So we had to clean out, change the bed sheets, and a few things we got to do. And right from Chai's room, you could see Swami's dining room in Trai Vrindavan. And the dining room window was open. You could see Swami was sitting there, and there are a few guests. So that would mean we should be all the more careful and finish the job and quickly move from there and not be a distraction. So we are kind of trying to quickly finish our things. But that day, for some reason, Dr. Chai was in a slightly different mood, and we had to contain and do a few things. There was a small scene there, and Swami was watching from the window. We could see Swami's robe there. There were a few guests. So when we came back to the hostel, one Sevadal comes running and says, "Here is a basket of fruits. Swami has sent this for Chai." Wow, a whole basket of fruits. And then, we shared with Chai, and there is a whole basket. So we shared with hostel students and all of that. So Swami was like physically observing what's going on there. It was literally in Swami's presence that Dr. Chai's room was just across the boundary wall. So that was a few things. And then there are a variety of other incidences that happened in association with Dr. Chai. And then I completed my master's in Parthi, chemistry, and then had the opportunity to finish my M.B.A as well. Then waited for some time in Parthi, hoping that Swami would give some direction or would absorb me as a staff or some in one of the Parthi institutions. That was my wish for some time. And then Swami called a lot of those waiting students several times and said, "No, you have to go serve your parents," several times. But we are adamant. Sometimes we are adamant and we think we know the best. So we did that. But there was a time then I had to I have to move on. That was like one of the most sad days for me. So I got a small internship job in Madras at the time. Then I had to leave. I was already waiting for 8 months or so, and then Swami was not giving job and all of that. So I ended up taking this opportunity in Madras. So I went to Swami. That was the last day of my waiting boys period. Swami, I got a job. I'm leaving. And then Swami called, blessed, he gave vibhuti, and said, he asked few questions about what job, how much are they paying you, and all those things. And then he said, be good, and he left. And then on that bus ride from Parthi to Madras, it was like, I'm leaving this place forever. It's like the thread is getting cut. It was a very, very emotional moment. And a lot of students will go through this at some point. You get bound to that place so much. You get attached to the hostel people, just the love of Swami. And then when the day comes, you have to move away. It's such an emotional moment. And it was literally in tears, the entire journey. And then life moved on. And then much later in one of the satsangs, one student was telling an incident. One very old student, very senior student, he was telling he was a waiting student in front of Swami at one point of time. He finished his education. He wanted Swami to absorb him or give a job in trust, hospital, variety of institutions. And Swami would every day come and say, you go home, go to your parents. He would say, no, Swami, I will serve you only. I'll be here. Every day Swami would come and say that, but he would straight tell Swami, no, Swami, I'm not listening to you. I'll be here. This went on for almost period 6-8 months. And then one day Swami got, angry, sort of. He called this boy and said, you think that Swami and Swami's words are different. You think that Swami and Swami's words are different. You are not listening to my words. I'm telling you, you go home, serve your parents, listen to my words. And then that struck him in a certain manner, and that student moved on. But that student was narrating this. So Swami is not different from Swami's words. When we take, Swami's discourses, Sai speaks, or any Swami's literature, or we listen to other experiences or things that Swami has shared, that is literally Swami. This is what the student was saying. So when we do study circle, or when we go through literature, discuss Swami's things, we are in Swami's presence. Swami is not different from Swami's words. That is my personal experience. So his whole talk, he was mentioning this thing again and again. Please, Swami is not different from his words. Swami is Swami's words. So this keeps coming to me. So when Swami says, sometimes we, in our youthful arrogance or youthful determination, we think, we know best, we'll do certain things in the way we feel is the right thing. But he's the karta, he's the architect. So he designs things in a different way. And so that I moved out of Swami's institutions after finishing my M.B.A. And I've had the opportunity to be associated with Sai Samiti after I moved out. And then I'll it's close to 1 hour now. I will tell one last thing.
1 hour was your making. 15 to 1 hour is the progression. Now you have started. Go with the.
No, I wanted to mention one last thing about this, unseen hand, or the hand that's holding the kite that's trying to fly away. So in 2011, during Swami's Mahasamadhi period, I was in US at the time for work-related purpose. I was there in New York, and on April 23rd, I'm sure a lot of Samitis and Swamis institutions were going through a very devotional, emotional period during that time. So anyway, on April 23rd, someone in my family passed away in India. So we made a quick booking to come to India. Our ticket was on 24th to come to India. So me, my wife, and my son were there. He was 18 months old. So we came to Chennai, and then the news about Swami's thing reached us. Then we said, okay, from Chennai, I had to go to my place, that is Vizag, Vishakhapatnam. And he said, anyway, all the kriya of our family member would have been done. So there's no point in going now. We will go to Parthi, because we were told that Swami would be kept there for 3 days and all of that. So we said, no, let's go to Parthi. So we had come from New York with big luggage, suitcases, with an 18-month-old baby. In Chennai, we immediately made a ticket to Bangalore, took a taxi, and reached Parthi on 25th or 26th. And then we were standing in line. The line was kilometers and kilometers. Taxi was not allowed inside Parthi. No vehicles were allowed. Some of you may have been there. It was the moment of a lifetime. I mean, everybody who could come was there to have one final darshan of Swami, physical darshan of Swami. Everybody, and it's huge line. And we were coming right from New York with big luggage. We were walking on the road. 11:30 we reached Parthi. It was hot sun, April. We were walking, and this 18-month-old baby my wife was carrying, and in darshan there was no darshan line. The line started kilometers out. We joined that line with suitcases. I was in my color clothes, my wife was there. We were just walking with luggage and in that line. They said, no, that is the line, you got to go. There's no place to stay, nothing. You have to just go and leave Parthi. We were not sure what to do. And then on the way, there was a devotee's house. I told, we'll just go request, at least we'll leave the suitcase. We cannot take luggage to Mandir. We have to keep it somewhere. So we stopped at one devotee's house. We don't know who they are. All that we know is they are in Parthi and we have come for Swami's darshan. Said, Amma, we have come from US. There's this luggage. I want to leave here. We'll do Swami's darshan. Come and take it back. Please, the meele anukondi. Please think of this as your home. Don't worry, it will be safe. They gave us their bathroom. We just showered up. I changed into my whites, and then we continued the line. 2 hours, 3 hours, we were just standing there. Nothing was moving, and my son was getting cranky, and he was crying, and patience was running out. After like 20-hour journey, we were just standing in that line, and for a moment I thought maybe we should just go back and maybe try again in the evening. We were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then my wife said, we will wait for 5 minutes. If I know someone, some devotee or anybody, some known person is there, maybe they'll help out with we were ready to stand in the line, but it was the kid who was getting restless and we didn't want him to go through the heat and all of that. They said, if any devotee is there, some help will be there, we will share. So we were waiting and said, okay, 5 minutes, we'll see. Otherwise, we'll go back to the devotee's house, wait for some more time. In the evening, we'll see if things are better, we'll try, or maybe we'll have to just go back. And we were just standing there. In 2 minutes, my wife's mom is there in that line. She's standing right there. She turns back and says, how come you're here? My wife's mom, she had come for darshan, and we were standing there and we were all surprised, and she's standing there, and that's it. We stood in that line, and when we think it cannot happen, Swami will make it happen. There's it's all unseen hand. He has his own ways of getting things done. It was so emotional. We were tired, exhausted. We were at point of just calling it off and going back. And then this whole thing happens. That was, we ended up staying there in Parthi for another few days, and then we went back. It was such an emotional moment. Everybody went through that phase. I was like I mentioned, we were in New York prior to that. A lot of devotees there, night vigils, prayers, bhajans, nam sankirtans, in their own way, trying to, make things different, hopefully make things different. Intense sadhana period. I think a lot of us individually benefited during that period. It's all a unique way of how Swami does things. Yeah. So that's a very touching moment for me even today. You see, from somewhere we had come, and then Swami is just making things happen. He was just making things happen. And then I've come back to Chennai, and I'm presently in Chennai, working at a financial services company. I'm associated with one school here that is run in Swami's in Swami's philosophy, Swami's guidelines. We replicate very similar things that are done in Parthi school. The same curriculum, same routine is replicated here as much as possible. And I know I should say very, very blessed to have been in Swami's fold. A lot of this maturity comes as I'm growing older and older. We have our own family, and then you get these moments to think back, reflect, and say, okay, how has my life been? And you see, it has been fantastic. That you realize as you mature, or as you have gone through these decision making events in your life, and you see how Swami's always been there. It's an unseen hand. You think you have done things. No, you've not done things. They happened for a certain reason. There is a plan there. I'll stop at this point here, Brother Venkat. These are few moments I
Lovely.
wanted to share.
Lovely. I'm going to get Pavan back on, and he is going to take it forward from here. Pavan. And
Yeah. See, before I say any closing remarks, or before we do that, I want two other students, if they're in a position to switch on their camera, fine. If not, it's okay. One is Mr. Gopinath, another one is Mr. Jairam. Why I'm calling out these two people is, we used to have classroom sessions from the professors in Brindavan, and we used to have hostel sessions taken by Mr. Ritesh. That means the students whom I'm telling, they had two teachers literally. One is the actual teacher, and another guru is Mr. Ritesh Patnaik. I'm sure the contribution which Ritesh has done during their education, like extra classes or extra studies, which Ritesh has mentored them, I'm sure they will be able to first narrate their first-hand experiences and what made them change with his classes and lessons. So first I will request Gopinath, then I'll request Jairam to take it. Yeah, Gopi, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely right. I really wonder even today how we could become gold medalists without studying. Probably that's how gold medalists are. You don't study at all. We struggled and we read, and he makes things very simple. And it's not one. It's not tuition from 5 to 7 or 6 to 7. Like from the end of the class time till night 9, 10 p.m., 10 p.m. He used to give classes to so many batches. People come in separately. One person, two-person, and again somebody else comes. He doesn't get bored, doesn't get irritated. Tremendous patience. No, I'm really angry on Ritesh because for some reason that he's in Chennai and we never uh, uh, made it to meet him. So once I get him, I think we'll have a piece of him. So I really wonder what happens in his brain. I think he hasn't actually opened up today. Just started. Maybe we should have another session. Microscope. We should look at everything that he mentioned one by one, each thing. His life as a student. What was going on inside? Everyone has stress for examination. How come this fellow doesn't have? That's something which I want to look into his head and see what's happening inside. What is the secret of not having stress, exam stress? We should educate us on that.
That's a good
But
point. I
No,
think that is the
very, very good point. You should speak about that. I think that's a lot of lessons. Today, everybody stresses over little things, and you've already answered it in one line, but you could probably dwell on it. It'll have a big impact for quite a lot of young children. Yes.
Gopi is being very generous. It is just, I don't know. I mean, there's no plan. It is, nobody plans these things. You just study, you prepare, you just go with the flow. I don't think there is a mega plan or a technique or anything like that. It's you just go and learn things, I guess.
I think the Gopi's point is like the patience you have shown, like several classmates coming and asking you repeatedly the same questions and taking multiple sessions for all the students, and that is your character which speaks out louder, and that is shaped them, which has helped them to pass out, they in their own studies also. So that is a good point, Gopi. Like how did he able to manage this time management, and also not getting irritated or not showing any kind of refusal for any kind of a clarification or doubt. In fact, I'm sure many teachers might have told, okay, my half of my job is done by Ritesh. I'm sure Brindavan teachers might have felt in one time saying that I think Vivekanand also is one of the student. Venkat, your brother, is also one of the student, I should say, because science students. Okay, can I put on Jairam? Jairam, are you in a position to switch on the camera, or can you just speak?
He's muted.
Jairam?
Give him a few seconds.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not in
Yes,
a right.
no problem.
This goes back to my first UG. Uh, I was good in maths, but somehow in the excitement that I joined the campus, I did not concentrate much on my studies. So literally, my first mid semester was a drastic shocker from from somewhere something around 5 out of 50 or something like that. That was my mark, if I remember. Okay, so. I did not know what to do. I did not know how to study. So the only go-to person, as usual, someone suggested Ritesh is taking classes, so just go. Why don't you go and approach him or something like that? So I just went and approached him. He said, "Yes, I'm be taking classes. We'll go meet in the uh, dining hall." So generally we are around 6 or 7 people. We sit around him, and he used to teach us. That was my first teach. He was literally my first teacher in UG. You can call that. He used to teach us very well. And if I had to get a good grade during that semester, probably it was only because of Ritesh, no one else. And we were unfortunate that he chose chemistry than maths. That's what I should say.
Very nice, very nice. I think there are a couple of more students who have not joined. I think Mr. Rana Chakravarti is favorite student and most naughtiest student. I think Rana had, Ritesh had a tough time to explain to him, if I'm not wrong. And there were some Varzaraj Shetty and Mr. Who else?
Suresh
Venkat
Balaji.
Swaroop. Suresh Balaji, Venkat Swaroop. Okay, these are the students. I think Mr. Ritesh Patnaik groomed them, and I know where they are now. There is no day. I'm sure they are might be thinking without any grateful. They are so grateful to Ritesh in their lives. Every time given opportunity, they'll always say that he has helped them to shape them up in their education. I'm sure. I think Vivek must also be having some experiences. Vivek, you want to share something? Vivek?
Sairam. So I have been unfortunate in that sense that I have not been taught by Ritesh. But
Okay.
yes, having said that, I guess to answer to the question as to how he managed, I think he has always been a calm and composed person at all times. So that's probably an inbuilt trait of Ritesh that many of them were able to use and get taught by him. So yeah, so that is all that I could add. He's always been cool and composed.
That's nice. Okay, so now coming part to the today's talk, what Ritesh had spoken. I think the way the Ritesh's life, if I look as he started saying that, what if I would have missed that bus? What direction I would have taken? I think Swami once has chosen make sure that the final destination is his lotus feet. So there is nowhere that you will be wrongly guided or going into the different direction. You might you might willingly or you might unwillingly try to take a wrong direction, wrong path. I think it is his strong will and then love which will pull back towards the main course, and that is his way of pulling the things. And also the way what Ritesh has narrated, saying that the kind of minutest details which Swami showers on every devotee, like how he is overseeing Mr. Chai from his window residence. So that is also one thing. Like Swami might have 100 things to do, but his focus attention on every devotee is always there, whether it's a student or a devotee. So Swami's attention to the minutest details is there, and is always in his thoughts, and also he will make sure that they're getting attended very well. And finally, what Ritesh has mentioned is journey, during the Mahasamadhi time. It is also mind boggling, I should say, because, how Swami has given a opportunity for him to see the last darshan in a physical form, and coming with a baby and coming from New York. I understand, kind of a 22 hours jet lag, and then you guys have pulled it off. That given a thought itself is something is really which Swami has given a strength to carry on that journey. That is really eye opener to me. And also I cherish the kind of experiences, the kind of bondage with you during our Brindavan days and school days. I think it is unforgettable, and you have been a gem. I think you're always a gem for us, and I wish you and your family many more success. And also the way you are now making sure your kids are in Swami school in Chennai, where it is taking the principles of Swami school. Probably we'll have one more follow-up session to understand what is that you're doing in that school. And also, as Mr. Gopinath has mentioned, that what was your that motivation factor to keep yourself calm, and how the concentration you have done it, and what are the techniques, have you adopted any techniques or anything which will help our youngsters to get away from the stress, and also do a time management. I think this is two sessions I think we can plan later on. And
He should
yeah,
definitely speak to our EHV children again. Venkat handles the EHV part here, and I guess
yes,
Ritesh definitely needs to come back to talk to the EHV children.
Yeah,
yes,
it's called Bal Vikas is EHV here, so
yeah.
that is what he's referring
So
to. Yeah.
exactly. So given a 1.5 hour study hours for everybody from 8 to 9:30, Mr. Ritesh Patnaik, he never used to use 1.5 hour on himself, but he used to use 1.5 hour for others. So we used to wonder in which hour he used to study for himself, which it was a mystery till today. So as he told, like he is part of Chai Boy, he has to take care of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and also teach our other fellow students, and also other extra activities. I know that hostel teachers have given to him. So it was a mystery and wonder that this guy, when he used to sleep and when he used to study for himself, and finally we see him taking gold medal.
So
So
there are absolutely no doubt he doesn't study at all because I am in his room. So I don't think
exactly,
there are some people who read in the blanket, they play every
yes,
time, there's some, he's not that time.
I forgot to mention that both the students or our classmates who spoke about him are doctorates in their own fields. So
feels
that goes to say what Ritesh has done as a foundation.
exactly. Okay, with these
Sairam,
words,
please don't put me on such a high pedestal. Yeah, we all are
no,
studying
no,
there.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
it's nothing. We all are studying there. Just that's fine. Yeah,
No, studying and
but
then having a big heart to support your the students or the fellow classmates who are little bit fall behind. So that requires a larger heart and love, I think, and compassion and patience. I think this is where I think we have seen you, right? So that is where we all love you, and then we all look up to you. That is where we all cherish as Ritesh Patnaik as icon. He's like a second teacher for all the Brindavan students, at least our batch for science group. So that is what I feel. Fine. So
Absolutely,
I'll stop there.
absolutely.
So I'll give it
Definitely,
to,
every
I'll
student, just a few,
sure, sure.
no, every student, as a student, because I deal with students and day-to-day thing. So every student, even if he knows everything, we would like to spend some more time practicing the problems to make sure we are the best. A sense of sacrifice was there in him. No, every student, I was not spiritual. I'm a very material person, and I came there. I don't think yeah. I'm sure all of you see as a different person today. I was a very shy, a close, introvert person. I never interacted with anyone. but I'm totally different person today. He has done a lot of transformation directly as well as indirectly. Indirectly means through people like Patnaik. I know all this we learn. Today I'm reading them in many ways. Okay, I myself get shocked. He has done a silent transformation, each and every one. Unbelievable. So, Ritesh, we learned from you about the sacrifice, the service. I was not into any of these things. Surprisingly, all of them are there, pumped into my blood. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Very
Thank you very
nice.
much.
Very nice.
That is the
Okay.
Swami's hand, Gopi. Yeah, we realize, we think, things are just happening, by our decisions, or we are just doing something. No, I think there is some bigger plan there. Yeah, like you said, so many things you start to realize much later. How come I have become like this? Just the physical proximity, presence in such a loving environment, has an impact. It has an impact. That's the whole idea of hostel, right? So you can take any student, you can see a sense
And
of
I forgot to
brotherhood.
mention Ritesh is also a very good volleyball player. He has been my volleyball buddy, meaning like he used to lift, he's a booster, means he used to lift the ball and I used to smash. And we used to be the volleyball, we won our volleyball game in our third year, and we took a trophy from Swami's hands. I think thanks for that also. Ritesh is also very good in sports. So he's all rounder, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, there's only 2 points, right? All of you are brought.
Yeah, over to you, Venkat.
All of you are brought for your own merits and reasons, and it's a very customized grooming that happens. Two things from what I see with Brother Ritesh's talk of being helpful. I think that if you listen to the older satsangs, when we hear about how the hostel was formed in Brindavan, how everything was by the students for the students, and the gurus were just guides, and that's the hostel. If one talks about the hostel, like, you can have satsangs on the hostel. There's so much to learn on how you lived under a lot of, I wouldn't say duress, but a lot of restrictions, but those restrictions led to discipline, and those discipline are what that allows you to endure moments of hardship, which all of us go through in our lives in various phases and forms. I mean, it's like nobody has a beautiful a curve that always is exponentially rising. Having said that, to be able to help, we have also heard of stories where everybody wants to get the coveted gold medal from Swami. That also happens, right? Everybody wants to be the form boy, everybody wants to get that, everybody wants to be the one where hundreds of letters are accepted. When that want is there, when the natural instinct to help comes, I think that is the epitome of the Satya Sai hostel, because you are for one another. And Swami tells us that by helping the man in need, you are doing your cardinal duty of love all, serve all. I mean, that can't come without love in the heart. And Swami equips yourself to learn in his own way. So learning becomes, and trust me, when you teach others, there's no better way of learning and polishing it. So I don't have any qualms in saying that probably Ritesh polished himself by just talking on the same topic again and again. Actually, that's the best way of learning. There's no other way, right? And he did it by service. So this is what Swami says: by service you are doing sadhana. So you're not doing anything for me, you're doing it for your own self. So I would say his service indirectly actually helped him to hone his skills where there was no extra time needed to prepare. And you're always available for Swami. So, Brother Ritesh, 1 hour has become 1 hour 20 minutes. Although you've kept it at very small snippets of all the incidents. But I always love to see brothers together come and talk like this. Lots to learn on how you stay connected. And I hope we will have more from the 94-97 Brindavan batch still coming on this series. And thank you, Brother Pawan. So, Brother Pawan, I like your strategy. 20 minutes and make it 1 hour, 20 minutes. I'll keep that in mind for sure when I speak to the next speaker. But that worked. That really worked. And I'm so happy that we are getting to do this week after week. And I can tell you, as each week progresses, you start developing absolute surrender that it will happen. All you have to do is keep at it. And that's the message that we got in this. Keep yourself available for doing service. Service is for yourself, not for him. But when you do that, you are connected with him. And that's all that we are doing each Sunday. Sai Ram, thank you. And stay blessed and safe. And we shall finish off with Samasta Lokas. Samasta Loka Sukino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai. Sai Ram, everyone. Sai Ram.